she said, one of them is transformation, a thorough or dramatic change in form or appearance, journey, an act of traveling from one place to another, vulnerability, capable of being physically or emotionally wounded or hurt. In all honesty, this is probably the perfect training topic for me because I have been or am currently going through a lot of these things. Reading all these definitions together made me think to myself, wow, that sounds like a lot of emotional crap for me to really process in order to put together this training. But I think that's the point. We are all working through things to be the best versions of ourselves. So let me take you all back to about 2 years ago and let you in on what my life looked like before Arvon. 2 years ago today, which was Saturday, November 7th, 2013, I had just moved to Paradise, California, which is just outside of Chico, from Indianapolis, Indiana, about 3 months prior. I didn't know anybody, or didn't know many people, and I was getting my bearings around the area. To everyone that met me, or us, my husband and my little boy, we looked like the perfect little family. We had the house, one adorable little boy named Zane, 3 slobbery dogs, 1 crazy cat, a dad who was a traveling sales rep, me, a military wife, and a photography business, and a partridge in a pear tree. If you ask friends from our new church, they'd say, oh yeah, the Spooners, they're awesome. But what they didn't see was life at home that wasn't displayed in front of everyone. I wasn't happy. My marriage wasn't in a good spot, or really a marriage at all. We moved out here with my husband at the time because I knew I needed to attempt to make it work. And while I had tried, nothing was changing. Fast forward a few months to January 2014. I was introduced to Arvon at an in-home demo that one of my friends was hosting. And she was worried about not having enough people there that night and of course begged me to come. So being the good friend that I was, I went wanting to meet more people and thinking I'm not going to buy anything, but I'll just go and be supportive. Little did I know what the next hour or so would bring. This is where I was able to meet Jen Brooks, who is my sponsor, and really get a chance to talk to her about the nutrition line. What's funny is I had actually gone to a show in December and met Jen, and Jen doesn't remember meeting me that night because it was so busy. By the end of the demo, I thought, why not give the products a try? What do I have to lose? I'll sign up and get the products and help support my friend Shasta in the process, who is like my running buddy. We've ran 2 marathons together now. Some of the party's profits were going to help their family with her 4-year-old daughter Ireland's cancer treatment. So that was my main reason for going at the time, because all the party's profits were going to help them. So here starts the beginning of my Arvon journey. Jen prospected me for the next 2 months, and for the next 2 months I would tell her no. Until I went to a DA in Britt's living room that March, where I met Mo, and at the end of the meeting, Mo asked me the ever famous question. If you keep doing what you're doing now, and you keep going like you are, where will you be in 5 years, and are you going to be okay with what that looks like? And when I heard that question, I knew the answer was an emphatic no. I didn't know that at the time why, and I wasn't okay with that, or what I needed to change, but I knew something had to go. So March 29th, 2014, after attending Impact in Sacramento, I decided to jump, or maybe cannonball is probably the better word here, and start my Arvon business. And I remember Jen giving me Mo's number on the way back to Chico, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're giving me Mo's number? Like, I can have her number? Like, this is crazy. But yeah, so I started my Arvon business. My team and I were ignorance on fire, clearly. We went district in 3 weeks in a day, and Christy and I are going to write a book. She's my area manager. We'll write a book one day with that very title, and then area in 6 weeks while I was on a plane to Illinois to shoot a friend's wedding with my toddler in my lap. So you can go area wherever you are. So I thought, awesome, okay, I'm an area manager. Now what do I do? Like, here I am, I'm an area manager. But over the next year or so, I would really wrestle a lot with a lot of hard life choices. Choices that would affect me, Zane, my team, and my business. You see, while Arvon had been amazing to me and given me a lot of amazing things, friendship and support being the biggest, I still wasn't happy with where my life was. I knew that I was in a loveless, unhealthy marriage, and I knew that my son would rather come from a broken home than be raised in one. He didn't know it yet, but I knew it, and I decided to go ahead and take control by ramping up my home-based businesses. One as a photographer, and one as an Arvon consultant. And what I've been able to do is create independence, freedom, and financial stability for he and I that I never knew existed. I basically went from a stay-at-home mom to an entrepreneur. So when the divorce did finally happen in August of 2015, it didn't crush us. It didn't crush Zane's father, and it's putting us in a position where we can get ahead and not get behind. But along with all the positives that it gave us, I was in a really dark place for a while, for almost a year. I didn't realize how hard the process of choosing to leave, of ending a marriage, would have on me. The Sunday after Thanksgiving this past year, I finally was able to be honest with myself and with him that I wasn't happy, and that I couldn't keep going like we were. It was so hard to have that conversation. All I kept thinking was, how in the world did we get here? How in the world are we even talking about this as reality? But I knew that I had to do this for Zane and I. December was brutal, to say the least. Living with someone that you know you're separating from is not easy. And Christmas morning wasn't as I expected it would be, and it was a very hurtful time because of the things he chose to do. Thankfully, I was able to spend the remainder of Christmas Day at Christie's, who's, again, my area manager, with her family and with Zane. Christie's mom is amazing, and I will be forever grateful for the talk that she and I had that afternoon. Christmas night, I stayed at Christie's house, telling my ex that we were having a sleepover, and the next day I filed for divorce and told him I would not be coming home. I remember getting back to Christie's house after going to the courthouse to file and just crying on the phone with my dad. Again, was this really happening? It was. But I knew deep down that this was a step in the right direction and the choice I needed to make for a better future. The next few weeks I stayed with Christy, sleeping in her Arbonne office, contemplating the next steps. Would I stay there, get my own place, or am I crazy and do I need to go back home? We had some good conversations in that office, and I'll never forget the one night we were sitting there working, talking, and just hanging out. And it was one of those aha moments, one of the many that I would have over the next year, that reminded me why I'm doing this, why I kept going, and why I needed to change, and why I was doing Arbonne. Ariana is one of my soon-to-be districts who was in Louisiana and now just moved back to Vacaville. But Ariana I said, I don't know if you remember this email that you sent me, but it brought me to tears. Literally, I was doing the ugly cry in Christy's office. She said I said a few things that resonated with me and stood out. In the email, she said, I'm not intentionally writing this so that you cry, but I've struggled just like everyone else. But this has been my struggle, and it will be amazing to see how this next year plays out, and if I still have my 10 reasons. She listed out 10 reasons why she was doing Arbonne. This road is not easy, and it will pay off. Patience is the key, however, and it's so hard to be patient when you get so excited about this stuff. I cannot tell you how blessed I feel to have found something I'm passionate about and something that can help in more ways than one. The support is unreal, and I feel so loved by the company with the incentives and everything that is offered my family and I. They were stationed in Fort Polk, so they're Army. Thank you for this amazing opportunity. I said, Ariana, those 10 reasons you listed are why I'm doing this and why I'm sharing my journey with you all, because if I can't be real with you guys about this journey, then I'm only faking it. I really tried my best to keep juggling everything over the next few weeks, solely because of the divorce. I was asked to step down from numerous positions in my community. I was trying very hard to be a good mom, a good friend, a good photographer, a good Arbonne consultant, a good mentor, a good team player, a good church member, a good sister, a good daughter, and a good mom. But one person can't do it all, and I realized that over the past year. Or as I've said before, I could do it all, but I couldn't do it all well. And that's what happened. I needed to get out of the emotionally and verbally abusive relationship that I was in, but that would take a time of growing and transforming into what I now know as my new normal. During this time, I struggled to keep my business going. Parties were super few and far between, and I had little time to do follow-up and was not getting my ask in gear, or rarely was. My sponsoring was small or non-existent, and maintaining my area was difficult. I wasn't reading, and I wanted to be reading, but I couldn't find 15 minutes to squeeze in, and it was showing. I felt like I was perceived as not being an Arbonne and a distraction to my team. I wanted to do this, but I really had lost hope that this could truly work for me, or better yet, that it would work for me. I don't know. I know it's worked for others, clearly my sponsors in RVP, my other sponsors, and a national vice president. But why would it work for me? Maybe all those dream stealers were right, and maybe this wouldn't work. But deep down, I knew that this was the head trash talking, because I've seen it work for other people close to me. But for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what that shift was that I needed to make, or when it would happen for me to truly get it. On January 31st of this year, I moved out of my house. February, I went to the Linda Parker retreat in Oklahoma. March, I ran my first marathon, and I gotta say that's probably the best therapy for life. I'm just saying. And I'll forever be grateful for God placing my friend Shasta, who's not in Arbonne yet, she will be, and to have her walk alongside me in this journey. April was GTC. What an amazing time with my team from all over the U.S., 5 states included, and our fellow Arbonne family. They came with me to grow as leaders at our conference in Las Vegas. And I came back from GTC, and with everything happening with the divorce, I felt the need to take on a part-time job. Because remember, I didn't think Arbonne would work. and cover everything financially during my transition. So I took on a part-time job with Butte County Independent Living doing case management with foster kids, which is my background, and I love working with them, but I didn't think that, I thought that I needed to do that. So 25 hours a week, that's what I was doing. So I felt it was necessary due to my change in circumstances and beneficial in growing my network as an Arbonne consultant. I started this job and began to realize about 4 months in that I really couldn't juggle it all, on top of wedding season with my photography business, an ever-growing Arbonne team, and just being a single parent to a busy toddler, training for my second half marathon, and just finding time for myself. In September, 2 of my teammates direct to me, Christy and Rachel, earned the 2015 mountain retreat that we have in our nation, and I was proud of them and their accomplishments. However, I didn't earn this retreat. This was particularly hard for me because I remember all of the awesome memories, trainings, and time to bond at the 2014 mountain retreat. It was a public blow to me because my success line had earned this retreat while I had not. I questioned whether or not my teammates would still respect me and see me as a leader and understand that while I had not earned this retreat, I was putting my life back in order. It really hurt me to my core in many ways. And after the beginning of September, and after a few weeks of feeling the tug to let go of my job and talking a lot with Leanna, Mo, Jan, Shasta, and a few other girlfriends, I decided to shut the back door, and I think we talked about it on the cruise. I decided to shut the back door and put my notice in at work. This Arbonne thing will work, and I'm choosing not to give myself an out and make things happen instead of living on Hope It Happens Airlines. October 29th, 2015, I retired from social work. Not for good, but for now. I do feel that Arbonne will be my vehicle that will allow me to work with foster kids again down the road, but I know that's not my right now focus. In October, I had the trip and opportunity of a lifetime. Being an earner of the AIT trip was really the moment I think this whole last year has been building up to. I was excited to go, but really didn't know what to expect. What I gained from this trip cannot be replaced. The friendships, the trainings that I heard, and the stories I soaked in are among the things that are irreplaceable. One of my biggest takeaways from the trip is that everyone, and I mean everyone's journey, is different. But your journey is meant for you, and for you only. So embrace it, live it, and don't be afraid of it. My time on the AIT trip was what I needed to see that Arbonne works, and that it will work for me. And I know that one of my biggest fears is the fear of failure. But until I embrace that and work through it, I won't accomplish much in this life. So let your faith be bigger than your fears, right? So that's what I'm choosing. That's why I know that a new region will be born soon. The Spooner region is coming, or as my girls decided in Vegas this last March or April, that our team name would be the Dirty Spoon Dog region. I know that we will change so many lives through this push to region and beyond. And yes, the car will be great, but I can't wait to watch my team and the amazing things and changes that they will see in their lives because of this. After all, it's not about me. So with all of these transitions and experiences, to say what? This past year was definitely a year of transformation for me. I'm getting more emotional than I did on Saturday.
You want a napkin?
Good.
Take the clothes off.
This year was definitely a year of transformation for me, and I may have gone through hell and back, but I needed this year to grow. And you guys can grow too if you allow yourselves to do so. Being vulnerable isn't about being weak. It's actually the bravest thing that you can do. Showing people that we're not perfect is much more powerful than pretending we have it all together. I love what Brene Brown says about vulnerability. Owning our own story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we will ever do. And you can't get to courage without walking through vulnerability. You guys, we can't do it all. We put up the front that we have it all together, but it's okay to take off that mask. Freeing yourselves from hiding behind a false reality. Our lives that people don't see when we're at home are not perfect, and that's okay. I just lost my place. I heard a quote on Good Morning America one day, and it was on moms that own their own businesses. And one of them said, "I don't like the word balance in that because that implies perfection. I prefer juggling." You will never fully be in balance. Embrace being out of balance. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Sometimes for longer than you want to be. My journey is still unfolding, and now I'm proud to say that I'm both a photographer and an Arbonne consultant. Put a mom to my 3-year-old son Zane first. I now have the opportunity to be there for Zane when he starts kindergarten because I'm not tied down to a desk. I will be able to be there for whomever God chooses to bring into my life next because I'll have time to spend with him. And I will also be able to have the time to coach, train, and grow with my team because I'm not spreading myself thin and taking on more than I can handle. If it's not serving you, let it go. My advice to you based on my personal journey is to be honest with yourself and those closest to you. Jen Hatmaker, in her book For the Love, which is one that I've read recently, says balance is kind of like a unicorn. Wise women and men know what to hold on to and what to release, and how to walk confidently in their choices. No regrets, no apologies, and no guilt. Allow those of us that have gone before you to lock arms with you and help you grow in these valleys. And one of the biggest takeaways I remember from a speaker in college was this: God gives us a valley, a vision, and then a victory. And I'm ready for that victory.